What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to be covering CT Side Anubis, my favorite map. So we're going to start actually with easiest to hardest. Now, when I say easiest, it doesn't necessarily make it the easiest job, in the world, and that's going to be A. So getting into anchoring A on Anubis, just understand you're on an island, okay? Get comfortable with that idea. Don't expect your teammates to help you. They're probably going to be useless. When they do decide to help you, they're probably going to team flash you. So at the end of the day, you should think of yourself as siloed off from the rest of your team, and you need to try to take as much information that they might give you if they use a microphone and make best decisions that you can and try to make sure you're always isolating duels. How do you do that? Personally, you can start off with just like a smoke towards main. Or a personal favorite of mine, if you follow my teammate Austin CS, that nade guy, he might have a better lineup. But essentially a great start round for A if you're solo is you just bounce it or out of this window and you can molly at the start. And what this does is if anybody tries to rush you early, you're going to get an audio cue. They're going to smoke the molly. You're going to know they're for sure on the way to the A bomb site. And it can give you a nice little early warning system, not just for you to set up, but also for your teammates to hopefully rotate. Now let's talk about, positioning. In general, I would say playing inside A main without a teammate close by or with you is just really dangerous. There's too many things that can go wrong. If you play in this corner, getting pop flash from the T's is really easy. Basically being anywhere in here can be very, very easy for the T's to just contact and fight you. A lot of different things and timings that go their way. If you have an op, feel free to post here. Just keep in mind that you take one shot and you fall. You don't have any room to repeat here. You don't want to stick around, and I wouldn't really play behind the table. Somebody that plays a lot of online Counter-Strike, aka this guy right here, I just feel like everybody owns you right here. So on top of the table can be good with the op. If you have a teammate though, really strong, because a lot of people like to walk in here early, try to take a duel with you. Worst case scenario, you die, your teammate trades you. Hopefully he can aim a little bit and you'll be good to go. One of the most obnoxious positions, as I'm sure you know if you've played Anubis, is an A player that plays behind this pillar. It's good for a lot of different reasons. You molly at the start of the round or you smoke at the start of the round. They have to use some util maybe potentially early to go through it. And later on into the round, very rarely do people just walk up. Now I realize at lower levels they might do that, and so you need to be aware of that if people are creeping you. But at the end of the day, this position is really powerful because if you do have a teammate, especially mid to late round, can toss a flash over here or directly in front of you, and you can use this pillar to shield yourself from the flash and peek with it. If you are in a type of game where you are just getting absolutely no help, playing this type of spot can be a little bit riskier because it does rely on some team coordination. And I would highly recommend, if you're completely isolated, playing inside site, some people call this cake, default, whatever you want to call it, is just really strong. Get comfortable taking fights here. A lot of people like to run in A main. You can off angle. Right when they get to this point, they have to be looking heaven, so their crosshair is going to be elevated. So off angling on this position here and not fully swinging is very powerful. And it also then lets you know that they made it to pillar. And then another great follow-up is waiting here behind default or cake and let them come into sight. And then you can decide to take your fights towards main when you get support from your teammates. Another position that you can play, especially versus ecos, is like right here. And when I say eco, I just mean, rounds where they're just not going to have tons of utility. Sometimes they won't smoke heaven. I imagine, especially if you're in lower elo or lower levels, they're not going to be smoking heaven as much. And this position is just really strong in general. You can play retake from here. You can catch a lot of people out. It also is a great position for when you're getting split from mid. And that way you don't have to worry about so many different angles. You can isolate your own fights. If your mid players are weak or dying or nobody's really keeping camera in mind, you should play positions that are shielded from that. And that's when a position like this in heaven comes into play. You can also decide to play a retake on the site and then try to time your duel for camera. And you could even play towards beach. It's okay to give up the A bomb site. This site is not incredibly difficult to retake. If you can get a kill and stay alive, you're so impactful to your team, whether they realize it or not. If they're getting the bomb down and you're getting one kill and you're creating a 5v4 and you're maintaining like this CT side of control and your team's losing rounds, genuinely, that is on them. They suck. If you get your one and you stay alive and you maintain a portion of the A bomb site, even if they get the bomb down, you've done your job. And I feel like that should be your mindset when you're playing this site. let's get into mid. Where I personally play, B is an absolute nightmare to hold. So finding ways to make sure that one player is holding mid safely and then cheating a player to B is going to be really optimal in your success in holding and winning on CT Side Anubis. Mid player, every single round on gun rounds, you should be smoking or mauling mid. You can change which one you do as based on personal preference. You're going to get a feel for which one you like more, and they allow different styles of play. If you smoke it early, you're not going to be taking many gunfights early, or you shouldn't. Don't be an idiot. You're not going to win the spam battle. All you're going to do is die. I try it all the time in my pugs, and then sometimes I get one, and then I die 3 times for every 1 kill I get. The other opener you can have is a nice little molly. If you molly, you can maybe have an op in mid 1 round, and you can peek from the side, or you can peek through house. There's a lot of picking and choosing how you want to play the round. Having one player is usually the guy that likes to run around. Maybe you cheat towards B. Maybe you hear a lot of early A pressure. That player lean towards A. And then one guy is kind of always just responsible for mid. You need to understand you can't win your team rounds, but you can lose them. If you die holding this area, really all you're doing is being a liability for your team. So if you're in positions where you're getting bullied out, the T's are just using tons of utility, or you just feel like there's a lot of players coming mid, you do not need to hold this house area or these double doors. Now you still need to be mindful of it. So retreating back to camera, maybe playing an op angle here, or you could pick your favorite off angle. If you're feeling really confident and you're like the bald eagle Elige, you could play this headshot angle, or you could fall back to temple. And this should all be communicated with your other teammate. If you're watching this video, if I'm being honest with you, you're probably going to be the guy keeping eyes on mid because your teammate's just going to run around. Respect mid, use your util, look for picks in mid, but don't commit. All you're doing is making it harder on the already hard CT side of Anubis for your teammates to hold their bomb sites. Just to wrap up mid a little bit, I'm just going to show you. You can hold a flash here for your teammate from camera. Just jump flash here. It's a great flash for your teammate to peek middle. When the T's smoke out house, you can aim at the top of this wood pole right here. Stand in the middle of this. Aim at the top of here. And you can nade like this and peek with it. That way you take 0 damage and you can still see if they're coming up mid. If you're the good teammate that I know you're going to be, this is a great flash for your teammate to be set up to peek mid. Let's talk the most annoying bomb site in the world. Let's talk B on Anubis. If you play B on Anubis, you're probably a psychopath. And that's okay, because every team needs one, or in this case, you're probably going to need 2. You have to think of the B bomb site. You're moving and playing in tandem. You shouldn't ever be one player holding B main and one player holding E box. You might be responsible in that way, but what I mean by is moving in tandem and playing in tandem is if your teammate's in E box, you shouldn't be fighting B main. And if your teammate's out of E box and you're not playing for it, maybe you should be coordinating a double peek for B main. You are not going to hold this bomb site if the T's remotely know what they're doing. If you're just working with your B site teammate just a little bit to coordinate either a B main peek or committing your resources to E box, you're going to have a lot more success just making sure you're always on the same page with your site partner. So what do I mean by committing resources to E-Box? There's going to be a bunch of different nade things you should do, and you should check out my teammate Austin CS, the nade guy, but I'm going to just talk about the overall philosophy because I'm not that cool. Instead of smoking B main at the start of every single round, which is inherently kind of weak, because if you do that, you're allowing the T's to cross, and now you have less information of where they can be, which means you can't necessarily make the right choice in the key situation. So sometimes what can be really good is maybe finding a way to comfortably jump spot B main, like over this, or maybe you can jump over this way and you can have a molly out or whatever and be ready to take a fight if they decide to walk in. But what you can do is help your E-Box teammate out, or if you are the E-Box guy, you can ask your teammate to give you an extra smoke. I realize this is basic for some of the higher level guys. Literally giving your E-Box player one more smoke, I'm telling you right now, is going to help you hold this bomb site so much more. But just in general, getting comfortable cycling smokes, cycling mollies, especially the lower level you go, you're going to make it incredibly annoying for people to get in here. In general though, like if you want to double up with your teammate, you can. If you're playing a little bit higher elo, there will be people that know how to throw a molly here and a molly here, making it so if both of you are close together, there's a good chance that both of you are now going to be out of position. This is something as the B site player you have to be mindful of. If your teammate's getting double mollied out of E-box, maybe it's time when he's getting repositioned and forced out. This is where you might need to take a fight because your teammate's just going to be a free kill, and it's not really even his fault. It's just, this is a really hard site to hold, so you need to be ready to play off your teammate and support your teammate, and sometimes that means taking fights that you weren't necessarily prepared for. Now let's just talk about some really strong positions that you can play if you are the guy kind of like keeping an eye on B main. Some really good things that you can do is, one, if you feel like you can creep to pizza early, it's very, very powerful. Not many people can molly this position effectively, and if they do, you can use your smoke in worst case scenario and create some pressure and then wait for your teammate E-box to help. Because if your teammate is consistently playing E-box and understands that you're here, this is really good. Especially versus low buys, I would really recommend this position, because what you can do is versus the low buy, if you know it's a rush and you see the smoke coming, one, you can drop a molly. Two, if you don't have a molly, hopefully you at least have a nade if they're on eco and you're not. And when they smoke the left side and you know they're coming in, you can nade here and you have a very isolated duel and advantageous position versus them. And after that smoke's gone, you can then use it to reposition the back plat. This is going to be your main money maker, is getting comfortable off angling around here. Just playing around that pillar, playing around the bricks, timing your peaks. Just try to avoid giving duels to the B main player if you can. And if you do want to give them a duel, try to see if you can coordinate a pop flash, a double peek, anything to just make it a little uncomfortable, because a lot of people do like to fight there and you can't avoid it forever. So having a game plan for how you want to deal with that is really important. Mid to late round, if you know they've been working mid, they've been working A, there might be max one person here. Just come push B. I know it seems really risky, but really some of these fights are a bit more favorable and you can isolate them a lot more than you would expect. However, it is going to take you probably managing the B main situation, especially if you do it later into the round, to make sure nobody crossed the right side, or just make sure you molly it before you go. You should really be trying to pick, do I want to hold E-box? Do I want to hold B main? These are the decisions you should be trying to make constantly as the B site player, because trying to hold both is just going to get you and your teammate that's on site killed. The more information you can gather and the more you can isolate that one side, and then ideally your mid player cheats over a rotate and you have three here, you're going to have a lot more success. When you're mid to late round and you're getting a feeling that maybe they're not ending B this round, or if they are, they're going to be a lot more towards E-box, this is when it's a great time to take liberties, take your duels towards B main, be ready to fight. And that's why I called you a psychopath if you're going to play this bomb site. We decided to do this map because it's my favorite. I was looking forward to it. Just keep in mind, when you're learning Anubis, I know a lot of people haven't like plunged into this map still, especially if you're more casual. Just be patient with yourself, because this CT side can be really hard. It's a very favorable map for the T's. Be patient with it. Understand it requires a little bit more teamwork, a little bit more risk taking. So just give yourself time. I appreciate you guys watching this video. I really hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.